Anytime you are given information, whether in school, at a doctor's office, or simply doing any transaction that involves delayed obligations, whether by you or the other party, write it down. I carry a pencil and pad just about everywhere I go where I think I will have situations like I described. People who think they can simply remember things are those you really should not trust to do so. What people hear is typically forgotten once their focus is onto something else, usually within minutes. When I'm at the office, I always carry pencil and notepad with me, everywhere, except maybe lunch. I also ask this of my employees. I do not let them come to me or be in a meeting without pencil and paper in hand. I know that if I do not write something down immediately after, I may be interrupted, and the information will escape me. I do not take a chance. If you are good at doing this with your phone, have at it. Just make sure the notes are backed up online somewhere. Another reality I will share is this: the rest of society is mostly horrible at doing this. If you tell someone at a business to do something for you and you do not see them write it down or record it, you best be prepared to follow up. And you should write down yourself, so you remember to do so. This includes phone calls, where you do not have the luxury of assuring the other party is capturing the information. I also ask for and write down the name of the person I talk to and the person that will be the point of contact. Another point for managers: if you give instructions and you do not have it written down for both yourself and the other person, you are at fault if it falls through the cracks. From an HR and legal perspective, you never did give the instructions. Last point I will make, and I heard this from a senior executive at Exxon Corporation: if you attempt to keep information in your head, you will run out of room for information that is important to have committed to memory. His point was to write it, put it somewhere where you will remember to retrieve, then put it out of your mind until you need it again. I will share with you the rituals I use for better recall. One type of memorization scenarios that is toughest to remember, meaning you should always take extra care to either write it down or use a mnemonic to remember, is what I refer to as conditional memory points. Anything that falls into a category of when X occurs, do Y, that is a conditional memory point. Example: when the postman arrives, can you get the mail? Or, on Friday, can you remember to take the trash to the curb? In these scenarios, you should establish a trigger that will help you recognize the first part, X, and then connect that using a mnemonic device or note for the last part, Y. A perfect and the most common example of this is when you leave the house. First thing is, I have a basket right by the door, where I keep most items that I need walking out the door. I religiously keep those items there: keys, glasses, wallet or purse, etc. I also have a list in my head, once on paper, for everything I possibly need before I walk out. I recite this list, thinking consciously of every item, checking that I have it or need it before I leave. Your list may vary, but mine are keys, wallet, phone, snot bottle, my neti pot, food, badge for work, glasses, coffee, laptop, business items. I have a similar, but separate list, in a document, of items I need for out-of-town trips. Another ritual I will share, and this one I make up on the fly, for conditional memory points. For the trigger moment, and this one is the most challenging, I will leave a reminder or tickler, I will call it, that I can see at the moment of circumstance, that is purposely out of place, to help me remember to do something else. For example, if I am to call someone after lunch, I will put a plate out, put my phone on it, and leave it next to the plate to eat from. If I have to take a pill in the morning, I will put the pill bottle, or an empty one in the sink, so I will see it when I wash my face. The goal is to not allow much time between removing the out-of-place item and the point you are to act on something else. If you do not have the luxury of an out-of-place item, I will tape a sign on the wall that I will see from time to time, reminding me. If that is not an option, do this with a mnemonic device. For the trigger moment, for example, hearing the mailman pull up, focus on the sensory aspect of the trigger. In this example, hearing a mail truck, make up a more absurd scenario using Vashuk. See the lesson on learning names. For the mail truck, hear the sound of the truck coming close to the house, hear it crash through the door, see it bust through wood and brick, throwing the mailman with your letters across the house, making a big mess. Imagine this in your mind with action to make it stick. If you think all of this is silly, why do you think higher-ups and world leaders have assistants to help them to remember? This is a lesson I learned from my grandfather. I worked for him briefly at his airplane upholstery business. Fred Smith, the CEO of FedEx, was impressed with him and asked him to contract with FedEx. Anyway, with upholstery, you work with many tools and artifacts, such as screws, pins, buttons, thread, glue, extension cords, etc. The smaller something is and the more expensive that small thing is, the more important it is to have a place for it. Tools are perfect examples. Toys and school supplies are other ones for you younger folks. For tools, you should have two places, one for where they are stored long-term, another one for your temporary workplace. Everything from the temporary workplace should go back to where it is stored, periodically, such as the end of shift or end of day. For tools you have work trays for instance, that can be rolled around. A bucket or storage bin can suffice. For smaller items, such as screws, pins, buttons, etc., my grandfather kept kidney-shaped containers from the medical industry. He was adamant about us not putting these items on the floor or on a work desk where they could easily roll off. Lunch containers are another option. Use this method for your own bedroom or office. Making it a habit and save yourself the pain of losing items, not being able to remember where things are, or contributing to a growing mess. Also, have what I call a waste pathway. Smaller trash cans with a path to bigger ones that you can transport garbage out the door. Your happiness and stress control are directly related to what you put off for later. And romantic interests will pick up on these things to determine if you quote-unquote have it together. Yes, I have a brother that once in his life had females that were interested in him short-term, but not long-term, because he was messy, irresponsible, and let himself get out of control. I will simply share my method here. There are many others, but this one works best for me. First off, have a filing cabinet. One for my home office, one for the household itself, and one to my place of work. I use two types of folders, hanging and manila. The manila folders go inside the hanging folders. Notes are always in a yellow, not white, notepad. This is to distinguish notes from official papers. I file everything in reverse chronological order, newest in the front. In my notes, at the top right corner, I put the current date and a topic. Related notes for that topic are stapled together. I have a hanging folder at the front of each pull-out drawer for notes to simply go quickly, in chronological order, again, latest to the front. You can consider this, as mentioned before, a temporary workspace. When this folder starts to fill up too much, or when I have small pockets of time, I will take notes from the back and find a place for them. That place is a hanging folder somewhere. These hanging folders are also in chronological order, behind the first one, but again, made up on the fly or sometimes predetermined. Made up on the fly. Examples could be projects or special time periods, such as months or quarters. I will have an upcoming lesson on life management where we break things down into responsibilities and tasks, but that hierarchy will be a perfect way to organize predefined hanging folders. This is from the book, The Kepler Method, which we will touch on in that lesson. I am very computer savvy, so I use similar filing techniques for my computer files and also in OneNote. I name files, folders, and digital notes with the following format: YYYY-MM-DD, or year first, then month and day. I also follow with a friendly description in the name. My default view is the same, reverse chronological order. Lastly, related to filing, but even more important, keep a calendar for appointments, a contact list for names, titles, and phone numbers. Digital is preferred, such as on a computer or phone, but paper-based okay too. For personal appointments, I keep it both in my work calendar and on my phone. Since those appointments are fewer and further in between, I will also put a reminder in my calendar 1 week ahead and 8 hours ahead. A switch context between work and personal usually means I have to switch calendars. Having it in both keeps me from missing appointments after or during work. In an era of information overload, taking effective notes is a crucial skill that enhances learning, improves organization, and boosts productivity. Whether you're a student, professional, or lifelong learner, mastering the art of note-taking can help you retain information better and use it more efficiently. This section explores the key benefits of note-taking and highlights various techniques to optimize your approach. Here are the benefits of note-taking. Number 1, improves retention and comprehension. Writing down information forces the brain to process it more deeply, reinforcing understanding and memory retention. Studies show that individuals who take notes retain more information than those who passively listen or read. Number 2, enhances organization and clarity. Notes provide a structured way to capture ideas, making it easier to review and synthesize information. Well-organized notes allow for quick referencing and efficient study sessions. Number 3, boosts productivity. Taking notes helps prevent the loss of important details and ensures that key insights are captured for later use. This leads to better time management and improved efficiency in work and studies. Number 4, encourages active engagement. Engaging with the material by summarizing, paraphrasing, and questioning helps deepen comprehension. Active note-taking fosters critical thinking and better analysis of information. Let us talk about popular note-taking techniques. Here are effective note-taking techniques. Number 1. The Cornell method. The Cornell method divides the page into 3 sections: a note-taking area, a cue column for keywords or questions, and a summary section at the bottom. This system promotes structured review and retention. Number 2. Mind mapping. Mind maps visually organize information using branches and connections. This technique is particularly useful for brainstorming, conceptual learning, and understanding complex relationships. Number 3. The outline method. Using bullet points or numbering, the outline method structures information hierarchically. It is an excellent approach for taking notes in lectures, meetings, and when dealing with detailed subjects. Number 4. The sentence method. In this method, notes are written in full sentences, capturing key details in a more natural flow. While useful for fast note-taking, it may require later summarization for easier review. Number 5. Digital note-taking. Apps like Evernote, OneNote, and Notion offer digital alternatives for capturing and organizing notes. Digital notes provide searchability, cloud synchronization, and multimedia integration for enhanced usability. First tip I give: do not think about it too much. Just write. Right. Right. You are not to write down verbatim of what you hear. You really should focus on just enough to trigger your memory. Another tip I will give comes from the lesson reading, Do It. Please review that lesson for further details, but categories of what to focus on include facts, terms/definitions, lists, dates or timelines. Timelines being a list of dates. Statistics. Facts with numbers. Hierarchies. Simply nested lists. An example of this is sentence structure or periodic charts. How-tos or what is referred to as conditional process flows, same as a hierarchy, except with condition points that lead to a path. Equations or formulas. These are actually conditional process flows, just with math. Lastly, here are some other tips for effective note-taking. Number 1. Be selective, avoid transcribing everything, focus on main ideas and key points. Number 2. Use abbreviations and symbols, this speeds up the process and makes notes more concise. Number 3. Review regularly, revisiting notes frequently reinforces retention and understanding. Number 4. Combine methods, experiment with different techniques to find what works best for different situations. Number 5. Make notes interactive, add highlights, questions, or diagrams to enhance engagement. Number 6. Use great shorthand, this will take time to master, but make it your own and reach up to 350 words per minute. I pull from this technique, but use my own symbols for common words.